It's time to dust off your favourite chair and sit in front of the big screen TV. Get a drink in your hand because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Your number one host, the Thunder from Down Under, a man on a quest to make money for beer. Sparring DK presents Relegation Regen Rebuild, Atletico Madrid. Hello and welcome to Regionero number 4. This is for our Atletico Madrid series, of course, season number 4. A big one for Atletico, of course. Looks like we have qualified for European football. If you haven't already watched the season finale, well, you might be in a little bit of strife. Spoiler alert. But we are going to get into the live count very, very quickly. I want to say thank you to everyone that supported the series so far this season. We've got a big one coming up, so hopefully you're ready for that with some sort of European football on the cards. So, without further ado, let's get into the Regionero Award. We will look at all the votes for this season, and I haven't made up my mind if it will be the captain who takes the vote as it has in previous seasons, or whether we decide to give ourselves, a legitimate captain and put him in place and say, you know what, you are the captain now, you've earned that role. So maybe leave your thoughts in the comment section down below in the edited version that you guys might be watching on the main channel, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion in the first episode of season number 5. But let's jump into it. Let's jump into the votes for game number 1. But first, before we do that, of course, we should probably test and have a look at what happened last season. It was Aguado who took it. He got given the captaincy. We changed him to number 9, and he had a pretty poor season, to be fair. I don't think he will register a lot of votes here. He will be up and about. He did do a few things here and there, but definitely not the season that he had in season number 3. But, Alvarez, Gallardo, Sá, Arnos, Manuel all had very good seasons. Russo, Lovato started off shaky, but he came pretty good in the second half of the season. So, yeah, it could be an interesting count. So, let's jump into it. Game number 1. All right, here we go. Getting the count underway. It is game number 1, and the first vote goes to Aguado. 2 votes for Sancho Gallardo, and 3 votes for Sergio Alvarez. Sergio getting man of the match in game number 1, and he'll go to the top of this leaderboard. Moving into game number 2, and we've got 1 vote here for Jose Manuel. 2 votes for Arnos, and 3 votes for Aguado. So Aguado has started off well, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out this season. It's time for the votes for game number 3, and we have Arnos with 1 vote, 2 votes for Sancho Gallardo, and 3 votes for Aguado. So Aguado did actually start the season off well in regards to points. So he goes to the top of the table here with 7. Game number 4, and we've got 1 vote here for Sergio Alvarez, 2 votes for Aguado, and 3 votes for Jose Manuel. So Aguado has featured in all 4 games so far, I think, and he goes to 9 points. Well, we move into game 5. We've got 5 point scorers so far on the leaderboard. It's Aguado out by 5 points. And let's get into the voting for this one. It is Pinto Trabulu with 1 vote, 2 votes for Granero, and 3 votes for Arnos. Arnos getting his first man of the match performance, and that rockets him into 2nd position. Let's jump into game number 6, and we've got 1 vote here for Damn Cools, 2 votes for Sergio Alvarez, and 3 votes for Luciano Arnos, and he ties up the top here with Aguado. Let's jump into game number 7 now. We've got 1 vote for Cardenas, 2 votes for Lovato, getting his first points of the season, and 3 votes goes to Sergio Alvarez. He ties up, and it's a 3-way lead. Well, we've got a 3-way tie at the top of the leaderboard as we move into game number 8. 1 vote goes to Sergio Alvarez, 2 votes for Russo, I think that's his first points of the season, and 3 votes for Aguado, and he goes to 12 points, top of the table. So we move into game number 9, and Aguado is top of the table, and, well, you'd assume that he would get run down eventually, but, stranger things have happened. Let's get into the votes, though. We've got 1 here for Arnos, 2 votes for Lovato, and 3 votes for Sancho Gallardo. Moves to 7 points. Okay, it's time for game number 10, and it is Aguado by 2 points at the moment on 12. We jump into the votes. Sancho Gallardo with 1 vote. 2 votes here for Arnos. That should take him on point with Aguado. And 3 votes goes to Amaral, the big centre-back, getting some points for the season. We move into game number 11. We've got 1 vote here for Sergio Alvarez, 2 votes for Guimarães Billa, and 3 votes for Lovato, moving on to 7 points. We move into game number 12. It's anyone's race at the moment, and interesting to see Lovato moving into 5th position. He was the inaugural winner of our Regionero Award. Jose Manuel has won it before, as has Iguana. Will there be a new champion this season? Let's push on with the votes for game number 12. We've got 1 vote here for Russo, 2 votes for Arnos, 3 votes for Sancho Gallardo. Moving into game 13, Arnos has taken the top of the leaderboard. We've got 1 vote here for Lovato, 2 votes for Arnos, and 3 votes for Russo, the Italian, getting a man of the match performance and moves to 6 points. Moving into game 14, we've got 1 vote here for Lovato, picking up votes here and there, 2 votes for Jose Manuel, and 3 votes for Arnos, a man of the match performance, and he's starting to move away from the pack. Game number 15, we've got 1 vote for Cardenas, 2 votes for Sancho Gallardo, and 3 votes once again for Arnos. He goes into the 20s to 22 points. Okay, game number 16. Arnos is out by a considerable margin already. Let's get into it though. 1 vote for Sergio Alvarez, 2 votes for Lovato, and 3 votes for Arnos. He goes to 25 points. Well, Arnos seems to be running away with it at the moment. Let's get into game 17. We've got 1 vote for Russo, 2 votes for Jose Manuel, and 3 votes for Arnos. Once again, 28 points. He might set a new record at this pace. Let's get into game number 18, and we've got 1 vote here for Tamir El-Deeb, the right back from Egypt, 2 votes for Sarr, and 3 votes for Granero. So it might have been a reserves-based team playing out there, as none of the regulars here in the top 10 have featured, although Granero does pick up another 3 points. Game number 19, we've got 1 vote for Guimarães Billa, 2 votes for Arnos, who goes to 30 points now, and 3 votes for Russo, who hits double figures with 10 points. Well, we're past the halfway mark, and Arnos has a considerable lead. It's pretty much going to come down to who finishes in behind him by the looks of things, because he has got 17-point lead with 18 games to go. Stranger things have happened. We've had some interesting calls in the past, but at this stage he is an outright leader. Let's get into the votes though. We've got 1 here for Jose Manuel, 2 votes for Sergio Alvarez, and 3 votes for Luciano Arnos. Well, we move into game 21. Can anyone get close to Arnos? It's highly unlikely. But we'll keep pushing on. We've got 1 vote here for Russo, 2 votes for Arnos, and 3 votes for Jose Manuel. He goes to 12 points and into 5th position. Alright, let's get through this now. We've got game 22. We've got 1 vote for Pinto Trabulu, 2 votes for Russo, and 3 votes for Luciano Arnos. He is absolutely dominating it, and it's pretty going to come down to who can finish second at this stage. Well, we move into game number 23, and I guess everyone's just wondering how many points will Arnos score this season. But let's get into the votes. We've got 1 here for Lovato, 2 votes for Sancho Gallardo, and 3 votes for Sergio Alvarez, who moves to 17 points. Let's move into game 24. We've got 1 vote here for Jose Manuel, 2 votes for Sancho Gallardo, and 3 votes for the man, the myth, the legend, the saviour of Atletico Madrid. Luciano Arnos goes to 41 points. The record for this series is 45, and I think he's going to smash that out of the park. Game 25, we've got 1 vote for Aguado. Get in. 2 votes for Gallardo, and 3 votes, well, it is him again. It's Arnos. He is smashing the Regionero this season. Game 26, we've got 1 vote for Guimarães Billa, 2 votes for Arnos. Not man of the match today. It is going to Russo with 3 votes. Game 27, we've got 1 vote here for Lovato, 2 votes for Cardenas, and 3 votes. There he is, Luciano Arnos. Well, Luciano Arnos is absolutely smash it here. You could probably declare him the winner already. It's probably coming down to a battle here to who is going to finish second. Cardenas moves himself inside the top 10. Let's get into the votes. We've got 1 vote for Damn Cools, 2 votes for Arnos, and 3 votes for Sergio Alvarez, who goes to 20 points. Time for game 29. We've got 1 vote here for Russo, 2 votes for Jose Manuel, and 3 votes for that man again, Luciano Arnos. Game 30, what's that? 8 games to go. We've got 1 vote here for Aguado, 2 votes for Ibanez, 3 votes for Sancho Gallardo. Well, it's well and truly Arnos' race here, but he's setting a new benchmark here. The real fight here is between Gallardo and Alvarez to see who can finish second. We've got 1 vote here for Gabala El Deeb, 2 votes for Arnos, and 3 votes for Tamir El Deeb. So the Egyptian brothers sharing some points here in Game 31. We move into Game 32. We've got 1 vote for Jose Manuel, 2 votes for Luciano Arnos, and 3 votes for Ruben Cardenas. Game 33, we've got 1 vote for Amarel, 2 votes for Rodolfo Gallardo, and 3 votes for Tamir El Deeb. So the Egyptian right back picking up a few man of the matches. All right, game number 34, it is 1 vote for Jose Manuel, 2 votes for Lovato, and 3 votes. There he is again. It is Arnos going to 61 points. All right, game 35, we've got Pinto Trabulu with 1 point. 2 votes goes to Sancho Gallardo, and 3 votes, well, of course it is. It's fucking Arnos. Let's jump into the votes for game 36. Villalba picks up his first points of the season. Alvarez with 2 points, and 3 votes goes to Granero. Right, we've got 2 games to go. We already know who the winner is. It's really just a fight out here between Gallardo and Alvarez to see who can finish second. We've got 1 vote for Guimarães Billa, 2 votes for Russo, and 3 votes for Sergio Alvarez, who goes to 25 and back into second. So the final game of the season, Arnos hasn't featured in the last couple, but let's see if he gets any votes in this one. 1 vote for Sergio Alvarez, 2 votes for Lovato, and 3 votes. Guimarães Billa comes in to spoil the party. So Arnos will finish on 64 points. He will be the Regionero champion for season number 4. Well, truly and convincingly. And Alvarez will go to 26 points to finish in second place. So there we have the Regionero completed for another year. Arnos absolutely smashing it with 64 points. Not sure we're going to give him the captaincy next season. We've seen what happened to Aguado once we gave him the captain's armband. Sergio Alvarez finishes in second with 26. Gallardo always up and about on this leaderboard with 24. Russo and Jose Manuel round out the top 5. Good to see Lovato back in at the leaderboard there with 17 as well. Aguado, well, didn't feature too much once Arnos took the striker's role. He gets 14 points. Granero is in there. Guimarães Billa, good to see a defender here in the top 10. And Cardenas rounds it out with 7 points. So we are ready. We are action-packed ready for season number 5. We will have some sort of European football for you, and well, we'll just have to wait and see what is on the cards for Atletico Madrid. That's all we've got time for. Congratulations to Arnos. He has absolutely smashed it, set a new record here for the Regionero Award with 64 points. We are done and dusted. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'm Spyro DK. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and you have a good one.